ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Wednesday Weekly Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm Lord Hillsborough. We're back, ladies and gents, and on the line we've got Mr. James Marriott. James, you've been. How the devil are you?
Hello. Just right. Okay, point of order. I would like it to be known before any rumour starts that I am not doing tonight's show wearing a bikini.
Liar.
Although I do actually have it with me. Genuinely, in this bag is the bikini.
It comes across beautifully on the radio, oh boy. And we've got Victoria also, I assume, supporting a bikini.
I am haunted by that bikini, my lord. Like, that bikini took over my entire holiday, from the whole, shall I tweet this, to let's go and buy a bikini. So it's so good to be back. I missed you so much. And do you know when you just said your little hello there, ladies and gentlemen, I did a little silent air punch.
No.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
We've got Mr. Rich Davies. Hi there, Rich Bean.
Good evening, my lord. How the devil are you?
Devilly bloody well marvellous, thank you. Old bud. Very nice of you to ask.
And it's so good to be back and to have football back in my life because I've missed it.
Isn't it just?
Absolutely.
We couldn't possibly pod without the ever ready Mr. Eddie Hoyland. Eddie, old boy, how the devil are you?
I learnt something today. I have spent the entire summer trying to find something to fill my football fix. And I found my football fix in a different type of football over the pond. So I've been following lower level university and college American football. And I learnt today that the team that I've been following for the entire summer comes from the Arkansas School of the Deaf. And I was down with that because I thought that's great because they've got something to prove, and it's great that we're giving back to the community. So Arkansas School of the Deaf, they have a nickname like many American sports teams. They're not called Sheffield Wednesday, of course, but they've got nicknames. The Arkansas School for the Deaf are known as the Leopards, which makes them the Deaf Leopards. So that's what I learned today.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I was hoping for a rap, I'm not going to lie, but that'll do.
That is so last season. Facts are the new raps.
Can I say that? I mean, closed season is like the time for like new signings and new developments and basically new stuff. And how nice it is to see that we're back with the same opening music, the same jokes, still no Dan Fudge. No one's heard of him for all summer. Eddie rambling on. It's the same old shit. It's like we've never been away.
It's like going home.
Except we're all sat in bikinis. Right.
Mankini this evening, please.
Absolutely, yes, for the gentleman. So then, ladies and gents, let's crack on with some Sheffield Wednesday talk, shall we? First things first, shall we have a little run through the matches that have been played? I don't think we need to go through everyone separately, but it's looking a little bit tasty so far. I must admit, I mean, you may have noticed I do get a little excited about Sheffield Wednesday, but this pre-season, the Chesterfield and especially the Benfica games, aren't we looking good?
Yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. Like, we went to Chesterfield, obviously, and can I just say as well, and James will vouch for this, Chesterfield is literally one of the best away games. I know it was a pre-season friendly, but the whole way that ground is run is awesome. The only issue was getting a beer. That was the only thing. But everything else was brilliant. The stewards were lovely. The staff were lovely. Everyone was so nice. And I know they've had a lot of stick in the last few days.
So even the competitions they run are great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
who doesn't want to win a ticket to a pre-season tour? But I was genuinely so impressed with Chesterfield. It was so good. And we had everything just ran so smoothly. Like, we got the train from Sheffield, had a few beers in the Sheffield tap, and then got on the train, got off the train, met a family that were also going to the match and shared a taxi. And it was just, everything ran so smoothly. And their stewards were brilliant. They were so nice. And it was honestly probably in the last 5-6 years, the best away ground I've been to, pre-season or not. It was so nice.
And the football wasn't bad either, was it? Because we played.
Well, no, I was going to mention that as well, but I just thought someone else might chip in.
Because it wasn't far off like a full strength team in the first half, wasn't it? We really went for it, and we played some really nice stuff. We'd had a few beers in the tap beforehand, so as ever, recollection of it in terms of specifics is a bit vague. But good stuff in the first half, and then obviously we brought on all the kids in the second half who also played pretty well. So I think there was a lot to feel very positive about from that game.
It was the kids and everyone's favourite thrush cream, Vermigil, started again for the second half. He looked bloody brilliant as well at Chesterfield. I thought, like, last night, obviously we'll come on to it in a bit, and he looked good but not as good. But against Chesterfield, he looked really, really smart. And he looked like he knew what he was doing. And we were all kind of like, who's this new kid we've signed? Like, he's awesome. He's brilliant. Who is he? Is it Jack Stobbs? No. Oh, it's that kid that we signed from Manchester United. But no, he was great as well. But yeah, it was the first half, obviously, well, not obviously, but we were always going to, if we played full strength team, you would expect that we would put on a show and we would beat them, which was great. But the second half, I think everyone did so well, considering as well a lot of them played the night before at Worksop Town in the win there, and then got ferried straight on the coach to Chesterfield the next day. Probably just stopped in Mansfield, let's be honest. Like,
that's not the longest commute, we're going to be honest.
Just a lay-by. But no, I thought everyone played amazing. And George Hurst needs a special shout because he looks brilliant.
Everyone went absolutely insane about George Hurst's turn, didn't they? Everyone was raving about George Hurst's ability to beat a defender and run for upwards of 20 yards.
It is rather difficult not to get ridiculously excited about him, isn't it?
We've done it a few times in the last year or so. We have got quite excited about him, but with good justification, because now he is, he's on the verge of the first team. Well, he's playing in the first team, isn't he, in terms of the friendlies, and he's not looking out of his depth. He's actually looking pretty good. He looks maybe just a little bit on the slim side. He looks like he kind of needs to bulk up a bit, which I think is going to happen naturally with age.
True. Yeah.
He's a bit slender, but it doesn't appear to get bullied by defenders or anything. He's certainly got the ability. It's going to be really interesting to see what part he plays in the first team over the course of the next season, because I think he's going to be knocking on the door a little bit, and certainly in the cup games. And if you've seen the Facebook Live thing that me and Eddie did last night, we talked about this a little bit. In the cup games, we could well see him starting some of the games.
It's funny because he's got that number 11 shirt, hasn't he? And we've been wearing squad numbers throughout the pre-season. So is that a sign that George is going to get a squad number, which in itself would be an amazing reflection on how far he's come in such a short time? Do we think that he is going to get a squad number as prestigious as 11, or does he have to serve his time? Does he need to go for the full Luke Bowden, Rocky LeCage, 48 for a bit?
I think to have a Hurst on the team sheet for the first time in a long, long time, it gives a bit of sparkle back and drags you back to the 90s when Hursty Senior was ripping defences apart. And I think we could
Senior, how mental is that? Hursty Senior, that's brilliant.
But you could. We shouldn't put too much pressure on him, expecting him to be the next David Hurst. I think because that's the danger. We could expect too much and not get it. But we need to give him a fair crack of the whip and bring him through at the right kind of speed and not push him too quick, too early.
He must know that.
To be fair, lads, like, I don't know how many of you know this. No, Eddie does, but my dad was actually a footballer, and he played for a pretty shit side in Sheffield, called Sheffield United, and so I was always pretty bad as well. So if that bodes well, like, if I was as bad as my dad was, then hopefully George will be as good as his dad was. And also I had the pressure heaped on me, like, oh well, your dad was a footballer, women's football's big now, go and do it. So hopefully, and like James said, yeah, he's really, really slim, but I would hope that the club has got some sort of dietitian or something that's going to say, look, mate, you're not going to grow outwards until you're about 23, 24. Let's be honest. That's like, lads don't broaden until that age. But stick a bit of protein down him, get him in the gym, and he will be a world beater. He really, really will. He's got the perfect vision. It's just the weights that he needs to throw behind it now.
It almost needs to be the opposite of his dad now. It basically needs to be as much snake bite as possible now, and then taper it off when he gets to kind of 27, 28. But We'll see.
But if you look at Hursty when he was younger, if you look at David Hurst, he was skinny up until a point. He really was. And then he almost got to like Gary Medine sort of size, and that's when he was really good. So if we can just fatten him up a bit, send him round here for tea for a few nights. I'll have him in digs. I've got a lovely attic. I don't know if you know, but you can see the North Stand. And he can... first one of the season. But he can... let's just feed him up a bit and build him up and build his confidence as well, because like we've said, there's a lot of pressure on the kid, and it is going to be pressure because not only is he from that family, it's his dad, and his dad was an absolute legend and still is, so it's going to be so stressful. But he's got the contract now, he's got everything he needs, so just go with it. If it doesn't work after 3 years, George, just go and work for some sort of call centre. But at the time being, it does work, so let's bulk him up, let's get him up front, let's just do it. It's great.
Absolutely.
The other breaking news from Chesterfield that we learned at halftime is that Tango has a new tattoo. It's true.
Yes, he does. Yes.
He has a new tattoo. I think we were one of the first to see it, which is of the new badge, but I think with the old eyes. But, it probably wasn't to know that. But yes, we can confirm that it is true. Tango does indeed have a new tattoo.
I was hoping you were going to say it was of me, Orbing, but...
I believe he does have one of you, but it's in an intimate area.
Wouldn't be surprised. And of course, the Chesterfield match was fantastic. Everybody had a good run out. There was a little bit confused about the Lewis Price situation. Of course, there's a young chap playing outfield for Wednesday called Lewis Price, and of course the other Lewis Price has gone for Rotherham, which caused a tad of confusion. But I must admit, I was one of those confused people. But
didn't even notice that. Not gonna lie.
I saw that other Lewis Price play on Monday night up at Hallam FC, and it was good to see the development squad up there. There's some really good kids in that team. Sean Clare, who was on the bench against Benfica last night, and another kid called Fraser Preston, who's got absolutely electric pace and set up a couple of goals. So the kids are looking good as well, which is really good. Even the other Lewis Price.
When Mr. Price came on the pitch, did his shirt fit him or?
Do you know? I didn't really notice.
It's good to have a Lewis Price who doesn't wear an XXL shirt for the hell of it.
But no, cracking. And then, of course, the lovely visit of Benfica to Wednesdays. Before the game, it has to be said, the Benfica as a club and a Twitter feed and a fan base, how spiffing are they?
There were loads of them in the Riverside, weren't there? And I was the one that was tweeting kind of like the official Benfica account and getting retweets and stuff saying, come and have a drink with us before the match. And then I didn't turn up until about 10 minutes before kickoff because the traffic was a bit of a nightmare. So apologies to any Benfica fans that were kind of left on their own. But they were great, really, really nice, dead friendly. The atmosphere was good. Their fans were really noisy for the first 20 minutes and then shut up for about an hour and then were really noisy for about the last 20 minutes. I think they had a sleep or something in the middle because they just didn't do anything. Which was pretty much what their team was like, really, as well. Really good at the start, and then we kind of took control, and we had a really good period of the game. And then they kind of came into it again towards the end. But I think worth mentioning that I don't think that Jake Keane had a save to make in that game, which is just as well, because he'd probably have missed it if he did.
He did have one. He had one.
Did he?
There was definitely one, yeah.
That he managed to do. Because it wasn't the best of debuts for Jake Keane, was it, last night, if we were honest about it? He looked a little on the wobbly side. I think we'll have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not played much football and that he's obviously getting to know his teammates and stuff like that. But there were some can we say worrying moments from Jake Keane last night?
I'm willing to put all of that down to the absolutely ludicrous kit that he had to wear. I don't have a problem
reflection in his eyes.
I honestly don't have a problem with a fluorescent goalkeeper's kit. In fact, I think it's probably preferable because no one's going to mistake them. But we decided to go with a solid block orange fluorescent shirt with some sort of weird gradient shorts that started off black and turned to orange by the time they got to his thighs. I can't imagine that he expected his first game for Sheffield Wednesday to be a fashion disaster on a level of kind of mid-1990s football kits. But other than that, I think he managed to acquit himself quite well. After the first 20 minutes acclimatising to the ludicrousness of the kit, I think he did all right. His kicking was a bit suspect, wasn't it, at first?
Yeah, it was. But I do wonder whether or not, because the ball boys behind the goal were all wearing fluorescent bright orange vests as well. So I wonder if there was a point whereby they kind of played this game where they sort of swapped around a bit, and maybe it was one of the ball boys in the net.
Like a hall of mirrors. Everywhere he turned, he was like, "Oh my God, I'm really tall and really thin. Oh, I'm really short and really fat. Oh."
I thought they were trying to build him up. Like, it's your first game for Wednesday. Look how many fans you've already got. All these kids are wearing your shirt.
Can I say as well?
Just one?
All
right.
I was on mute, but I did chortle.
We were laughing on the inside, Eddie. Oh boy.
So no, I think honestly, for the first 20 minutes, I spent most of the time telling everyone around me that I didn't rate Jake Keane and what were we doing. And Pricey was quite clearly and reportedly a real like a leader in the dressing room. He was a guy who made everybody laugh. Why are we getting rid of Pricey and replacing him with a guy who is 8'6" tall, has brought his own goalkeeper kit to play, and and can't kick worth the damn? In fact, after about 25 minutes, I tried to start the chant of Jake Keane's on fire. His own fullbacks are terrified.
You did. That was embarrassing.
Didn't catch on. I'm going to be honest with you. But you know what? Jake clearly heard me, because his performance massively improved after that. And I think you're right. He didn't have a real save to make, but his distribution looked good. His positioning looked good. And, for a guy who is quite clearly Frankenstein's monster, he moved quite well. So, you know what? I'm all right with it now. I'm over it.
He's a young lad still. He's only, 24, 25, something like that, and he's played a lot.
Is that all he is? Is that all he is? Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
A young chap, and he has got quite a lot of experience. I was reading a cracking blog post by a friend of the show, Joe Cran, about Jake Keane, and on there he says he's got almost 100 league appearances for Blackburn. Obviously, after Blackburn, he got his move to Norwich, etc., where he didn't get a great deal of time on the pitch, and of course he had a bit of a dig about that in an interview we did with the afterwards as well. But I'm reserving judgment because I've got these kind of things wrong before. Gary Hooper. So we'll give him a chance, shall we, ladies and gents? We'll give him a chance and hope that it was just the kit that caused the issue. But the rest of the match, chuff a duck. Let's be fair here. Benfica are a decent team, aren't they?
A decent team? They're in the Champions League. They're in the Champions League. And do you know what? Like, as much as obviously we normally get our Premier League, in quotation, pre-season game, and it's normally like Villa or Wigan or whoever else is in that league at the time that's really average. Like, we got like Champions League pre-season, and do you know what? They played a pretty strong team as well, and we've matched them man for man, absolutely matched them.
Oh, they played the same side who had absolutely destroyed Derby 4-0.
Yeah.
Last week, and again that was the same side that Benfica put out. And Derby's side that night was, effectively their strongest side. I think we put a strong side out last night, but Derby put out their absolute best side and got absolutely tonked. So, yeah, we're miles better.
I think we genuinely, everybody last night played a really, really good game. There were one or two that came on in the second half that you probably think maybe, oh, this is so controversial, that maybe it's time to go.
Like Dave, I'm gonna reach down the line.
I know. I feel really, really awkward about this, because he did blow me a kiss out in the park. But
you were crying about this last week. You were upset. Even if anyone suggested it, you were like, "No, shut up, no."
I was. But I did think last night he looked completely out of his depth. He looked like someone had won a competition, didn't they, to play against Benfica at Hillsborough. But
like a raffle or something.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought he looked slightly unfit last night.
He did definitely.
Towards the end, he did run into the corner, and he only come on as a sub, and he was absolutely blowing out of his back end.
They did have the heat advantage over us last night. It's obviously they're more used to this sort of heat. Because obviously at the moment it is absolutely roasting in Sheffield. It's horrendous. I can't have the fan on because I'm recording, but it's so warm. So, but they're used to that. So that's like, for them, it's like standard Saturday afternoon sort of heat. So we did have that against us, but yeah, he did look really, really unfit. And there were a couple of others that came on and you think, really? But, you know, we did outplay them. We completely, when we lost Matias, I've learned that from you, Edward, Matias. We lost
Marco.
that game. Yeah, Marco. Marco Polo. We lost that game as far as the skill sort of set went, because I think he was our key player last night. He was brilliant.
Like a spanking new signing.
Yeah.
It
is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like now he's fit. It's like we've just signed this brilliant player. But as soon as he went off injured, and I've not heard anything. I don't know if anyone knows what the injury was, or because it looked like they were getting the stretcher and then they weren't, and then they were. Yeah.
He literally
Is that what it was?
hitting the gentleman's area. And
that's all right. Then he'll be all right in a few days.
So hopefully,
Get a bit of ice on it.
Just a bit of bruising. But no, I thought he was. Look, I mean, I wasn't at the game. I was one of the many people that, thanks to Portuguese television, managed to watch the game, shall we say, with some very interesting commentary. But I just thought it looked unbelievably fantastic, and I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised, because I was expecting him to sort of fade away a little bit this season, and hopefully, from what we've seen, it's not going to happen.
From what I've seen so far, he could literally be one of the best players. Him and Forestieri next year. Like he's looked so good and so sharp, and it looks like him, Matias Forestieri, and João have all been to the gym together, like a lot, because they've all suddenly got really, really ripped. I don't know where that's come from. João seems to have put on like 2 stone, but in a good way.
How come you can master the art of pronouncing Matias correctly, but still pronounce João wrong?
João. But yeah, they all look like they've been to the gym. They all look really, really fit and ready. And they're the 3 that are. And to be fair, Bannon as well also looks a lot fitter than he was. But I think those 3 have really, really kicked onto it this summer, like big time. They've obviously been to the gym, they've been working out, they've done some sort of training program, I'd imagine. But João has really, really bulked up for such a young lad. He really has. But Matias and Forestieri have got really ripped as well. Like, where's that come from? It's wonderful.
I thought Bannon last night was. I thought he's gone up a level. There's some of the passes he was playing, sat in the middle last night, spraying them out wide, and long passes that were actually getting in front of the player or to the feet were absolutely spot on. Especially in the first half. I think he looked a bit knackered in the second half, but. Yeah, I just thought he's different gravy again, and he could really make a difference. Bannon for me next season, if he can step up again.
That's true. I'm jumping slightly ahead here of something that probably fits in a bit later on, but seeing as we're kind of at this point, because there were a lot of players that played well last night, but we've got Stephen Fletcher and we've got Gary Hooper, who are waiting in the wings. So, you know, come what may, first game of the season against Villa. Let's say we've also bring a new centre back in between now and then, as you would assume would be the plan. That's what they're going to be looking to do, and we know they are actively out there looking for a centre half. So you've got Sammy Hutchinson as well. Where are these players going to fit into the team? If we're saying that that Matias is going to be a starter on the left, then where does Forestieri play? Where does Hooper play? Where does Fletcher play? Who isn't going to play? Who are we going to leave out?
It's going to be horses for courses, isn't it? Because as impressive as Matias was last night, as João was last night, I think they were all the more impressive because they were playing against a team that played a brand of football that they grew up with. You know, and that's it's a big thing, especially in pre-season where the pace isn't quite as high, etc., etc. I think we need to judge these players when they've played kind of full-blooded football. When it matters, and that's not to do down Benfica. I thought it was a very impressive performance last night. I think Carlos proved last year that he was willing to make the tactical changes that he needed to suit the challenge that was ahead of him. It's brilliant that we've got more bodies of a certain quality that can contribute, but I think that what he'll do is use them, the best way he can in a horses for courses. I don't think anyone is guaranteed a spot on the team sheet other than arguably Westwood, Tom Lees, probably Barry Bannon. He use him in different ways, but he'll play him there, and Kieran Lee. I think everybody else is pretty much up for discussion. I'd include Forestieri in that because he plays as much as he's possibly our best player. He plays a very certain way, and if that's not what Carlos thinks is going to get a result for us, I don't see that he will say, okay, well, there's a sacred cow here. He'll play a combination of Fletcher or Joao or Hooper. I think it actually bodes well for us because we've got legitimate options that are top level championship players, and that's pretty much where we've needed to get to this summer.
Now, all that said, it does bring us on nicely to the signings fiasco, which personally I don't think is much of a fiasco. Now, last season we brought in a lot of players all at once, and we had the cohesion, the gelling conversation for the first 2 months of the season, and
6 months, 7 months.
Exactly. It went on for a while, didn't it, ladies and gents? And obviously the cohesing has taken place, and now we're adding to that cohesed squad. There has been people sort of making rumblings and things about signings not being made, and as James said earlier, clearly we're after a centre-back. Personally, I'd like to see another left-sided defender come in as well, and possibly just a bit of competition on the wings. But do we need a great deal else? I mean, obviously we've got Fletcher, we've got a new keeper in, and I'm just excited with what we've seen.
I do think if Dave goes, I do think we need to get somebody.
Not
he's going. Sorry,
he's gone.
just going to have to get
gone.
used to this.
He's
going.
Yeah.
He's going.
No, he's not.
I'm devastated. I am devastated. I'm gonna have to get. I've got a full piece on my back tattooed of his face that I need to get covered up now with Carlos or something. So I am.
Picture of him, or just generally covered up by
It's just both, or just a cardigan. But I do think if he goes, we desperately need somebody, not prolific, but somebody who's in the wings that's going to be waiting to come on and be that 70, 80 minute man that's going to come on and score some goals. But I do think
can do that job.
Gary Taylor Fletcher. That's who we need. Gary Taylor Fletcher. He can come on after 70, 80 minutes.
Adam Proudlock, sign him up.
Waddle around and score a goal.
Waddle. Let's get Waddle
do you know what?
back.
I'm surprised
but we
there
do
haven't
need
been.
a centre half.
I'm surprised there haven't been rumours about Patrick Bamford again, because he's still at Chelsea, isn't he? Is he going to be part of their plans this season?
Villa is a rumour today on that one, James.
Oh, is it? All right. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that would fit pretty well for him. But I thought that a few people might link us to him. Now, on the subject of signings, right? I think that Mr. Chansiri called this absolutely spot on in the steering group meeting last weekend, where he said, we're only going to sign players if they're going to add something to what we've got. And it winds me up so much when I see people on Twitter that say like, oh, for God's sake, Wednesday, just sign somebody. That's like, yeah, we have to sign the right players for the right money if they're going to add something. We saw last night that we've got a team that can play well. You know, we beat a team that are one of the top teams in Europe last night. It was a friendly match and you can't read too much into it. But, you know, we know from the way that we played, forgetting who we were playing against, from the way we played, that we've got a team that all know each other, that have had time to get to know each other now, that can go out and on their day will be able to beat anyone, particularly when we've got blue and white nets. It's a different matter. But there's no point bringing in players for the sake of it at this point. We've got to bring in the right players that are going to add something. And if those players aren't available out there, then we stick with what we've got. Don't waste money on signing players for the hell of it, because we've seen over the last 20 years what doing that does to a team. And I, for one, am absolutely over the moon that we've got a chairman and we've got a head coach that aren't willing to go down that road, and they will wait and they'll bide their time until the right people are available for the right money, and that isn't spending £15 million on Ross McCormack. But when that does happen, then we'll bring them in, and I think that's absolutely the correct way of doing it.
Chansiri he's really sounded the horn on that one, hasn't he? Saying financial fair play is a consideration. So we're not going to make bad business decisions on the basis that spending £15 million might give us a 1% or 2% advantage over other teams. This is about building the right team at the right price. And maybe he's sandbagging a little bit. Maybe there is money there, and what he wants to do is head off this idea that Wednesday are the kids on the block with a load of cash. So I'll take it with a pinch of salt, but it's clear what the strategy is. We're going to get the best player, the right players at the best money. And just like last year, I expect us to limp into the season with 1 or 2 or 3 signings. And then when selling teams get desperate towards the end of August, I suspect that we'll see another 3 or 4 come in very quick succession, and they will be quality in the same way that they were last year, which we remember Poodle came in at that point, Hooper came in at that point. I have no worries whatsoever with his strategy. It seems to me to be the smartest way of doing things, and stops Wednesday becoming another team that is that's perceived to just be throwing money at it.
I was at the steering group last week as the Wednesday week representative, and it was interesting to listen to Mr. Chansiri.
Did you get invited to that, or did you just sort of storm the place there?
I got invited. By Mr. Cleggy.
Fantastical.
So yes, Cleggy got us along. So yeah, it was really good, and it was really good to listen to him. He spoke really passionately. He, like Eddie said, he did mention financial fair play. He didn't want to get into a situation where if we spend a load of money, we don't go up, we're then in trouble. We then start getting the sanctions against us. But he instigated him very close to getting some players, but he didn't want to get the wrong ones. He could go out there and get 10 or 20 that wouldn't make the squad any better, but that's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to get players that are going to make it better and going to make a difference. And he's frustrated with the market at the minute. I think because people know we've got a bit of money, so the prices are different. And I think obviously there's the agents and everything. So I think he seemed very frustrated with the whole process. But yeah, I think they're close to a few from what he said.
Well,
there is.
Go on, Dave.
Sorry. There is a slightly different kind of factor in it this season, isn't it? Because I think I'm right in thinking this is the first season where there isn't a separate loan window. So having said all of that, I mean there is going to be a club somewhere in either in our league or somewhere in the football league that gets caught out, that waits until the end of August to try and do their business and don't manage to get any of the players that they've been kind of holding out for. And in the past, there's always been that kind of safety blanket, that safety net of the loan window that opens 2 weeks later. But there isn't one this season. So there's going to be a club, and I've got no reason to think it'll be us. I think that the chairman will bring in the right players at the right time. But there is going to be a club somewhere that's going to get well and truly caught out. It's going to be interesting to see over the next few transfer windows how that system changes things.
No, Chesterfield would be lovely. As nice as their staff are this week, let's hope it's Chesterfield.
Of course, there has been the rumours kicking about as usual. We've been with various different people and bits and bobs. One of the big ones that I was quite excited about, well, it was nice, shall I say, was Hanley. But of course, he's gone to Newcastle now. Newcastle seem to be hoovering up a lot at the moment, don't they? They've got a lot of money to spend, and they're spending it.
They are. That's the phrase I used last night. They are literally hoovering, aren't they? They're just like anyone, come on, in.
And I think that's one of the problems that Newcastle have had over the years, is that they get the names in, but they don't really think about the team. Again, it's one of those things, and that's what Wednesday seems to be doing very, very well, is getting the right players for the right slots, isn't it? And not just any old free agent out there. Of course, the other things transfer-wise is the Mr. Padil saga rumbles on. He's not officially back yet, is he? Although he did tweet out some pictures of going around the wildlife park, and his young lad was in full Wednesday
He's still
regalia.
here. He's still here, isn't he? He's still got her. He lives next door to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Can he
He
see?
can see. He can see the North
Stand
Stand from his.
Yeah.
He can. He can. Yeah.
I had a great theory that, and I really thought this was going to happen, that at Owls in the Park, because there'd been a bit of negativity
Yeah,
about
you
the ticket
did.
price
Oh.
and about the shirt price, and I thought they're going to unveil a new signing at Owls in the Park, and I was waiting for it, that as David Garrido was announcing the players one by one as they went on the stage, and I thought right at the end he was going to say, and you'll never guess who's here. The deal is done, it's complete. Please welcome back Daniel Pudil. And it didn't happen. And we even asked him about it when we bumped into him and said, is he not here then? Is he genuinely not here? We're not going to unveil him today. It's like, no, it's not. It's not done. I'm like, oh. I really 100% convinced myself that was what was going to happen. Because it is going on and on, this one, isn't it? It's turning into a right old saga.
Do you know what's nice this season? Like after last season, like we were awesome. We got to Wembley. Let's not lie. We came like third to go up to the Premier League. That's amazing. But we don't genuinely desperately need players. We need a left back. We need a right back. We need a centre half, and probably a striker if Dave goes, obviously. But we're not desperate, and that's really, really nice. But we were genuinely, after you said that, James, I think everyone who was with us at Owls in the Pot was like, oh my God, wait until Poodle comes out. Oh my God. But it's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? We've still got pretty much the same squad as we did last season, minus a bit of driftwood. So, Christ, like, do we desperately need to sign people? Is that what we're all waiting for? Like, can we not just be happy that we're going into this season with the same squad that we had last year that took us to the place that we've not been for 20 plus years?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Bloody hell.
I would like to
You're right.
We're so spoiled. In fact, we're not
there's a
spoiled. We're like poor kids that have suddenly become rich kids. And now we're like, oh my God, let's sign everyone.
I am a tad worried about the left back situation on the basis that I've kind of concluded from the last two friendly games that we've played against Chesterfield and Benfica, he's played Liam Palmer at left back, who I had no idea was even capable of, I don't think he even knew where the left-hand side of the pitch was, let alone that he could play there. So I'm guessing that he's playing out of position. That's not somewhere that he's ever really played before. And he's doing that ahead of playing Jeremy Hallam, who is an actual left-sided player who's been on the bench for those games. So that to me says that the head coach doesn't rate Jeremy Hallam, and that he's going to be either a bit part player or he's on his way out. And that means that in reality we probably need two left backs in before the start of the season, and that's 2.5 weeks away. If Poodle's going to be one of them, then great, but we need to get it over the line. And I would still like to think that there's someone else kind of being lined up that we can bring in as well. But it's not like we talk about this stuff like, I hope the thought of this, like they're going to forget that they need to buy at least one or two left backs. They're going to be working flat out to try and get these deals done. The only thing that's worried me a bit, and I've been trying to reassure myself that it's not going to happen, has been the rumours about Westwood, because that's really been gathering pace, hasn't it?
Worryingly so.
It kicked off last night, didn't it, as well? Everyone was saying that he'd gone to, was it Hull last night?
Yeah.
He got a £2 million release clause and he'd gone to Hull. Then all of a sudden everyone went, oh no, wait, he's over there in the director's box. And we're all like, it's fine, all breathe, it's fine, it's fine.
If Westwood had a £2 million release clause in his contract, it'd have gone last year. Let's face it. It wouldn't have been with us in January if he had a £2 million release clause, because there were plenty of people that love to have snapping up.
I don't know about that, my lord. Controversial. But he's at an age that a goalkeeper should be at an age. He's not old, but he's at the right sort of age to be a proper first team goalkeeper. He's built up enough and whatever else. But last season, would you have paid $2 million for him on a gamble?
Yes.
For a goalkeeper?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, this is what
I'd have paid $4 million for him.
For a Premier League
manager.
team, 2 million in the
Lord
Premier
Hates
League is nothing, is it?
It's
2 million is
I
like
know, yeah,
it's
true.
change.
Absolutely.
It's like 2 weeks' wage for him that Man United have just signed, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. £2 million to a Premier League team is what you fiddle around with in your bottom.
Yeah, but it is a risk, and so I think that this season we should be very, very wary of that, more so than last season.
I think it's bumpkin.
Just saying. Hashtag just saying.
If indeed Kieran Westwood does have a $2 million release clause in his contract, and let's just say that someone has made a bid that activates that, and maybe Westwood has thought about it and decided that he doesn't want to go, can we then tomorrow please sit down with him and his agent and negotiate a new contract that does not have a £2 million release clause in it?
Absolutely right.
Because if it has had that and he's decided that he doesn't want to go to a Premier League club, and there were rumours about this during the last transfer window that Everton had also activated this release go anywhere. So if indeed it does exist and he's turned down chances to go places, then it's obviously no use. So let's just get rid of that clause, pay him an extra couple of grand a week, make him very happy, and just stop this coming around during every transfer window. Because, one of us is going to have a nervous break if every transfer window, the best goalkeeper that we've had for 20 years keeps getting linked with every bloody Premier League club.
And that's the point. As Wednesdayites, we're not used to people being after our players, and Westwood is a cracking keeper. Let's not sort of put that two ways about it. He's a belting keeper, and I just can't see that a £2 million Newcastle would have had him just to stick him on the bench, wouldn't they? Because that's the kind of thing that they're doing at the moment.
And the worrying thing is Wild Smith has a fingering injury as well.
Oh, okie dokie.
A finger injury. That's what I meant.
I've had a few fingering injuries in myself as well.
He looked quite busy at Owls in the Park. That would make sense.
One of the wonderful things that you guys won't have seen because you were at the match last night is, of course, Mr. Wildsmith was on the team sheet for last night as the starting goalkeeper. Nobody told the Portuguese television that Mr. Keane it was actually the goalkeeper. So the whole way through the match, whenever it went to the keeper, it went to Mr. Will Smith, which was brilliant. We're all expecting it to...
Getting jiggy with it.
It was fantastic. All the way through the game, I'm thinking, oh, the bloody hell's Will Smith. I see. And also...
I did wonder what you were on about with that. I was like, you text the group like, "Oh, who's Mr. Will Smith?" I was like, I don't know. Have we signed someone called Smith?
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, see.
Do you know what? This is such a small thing, but it really annoyed me last night. Was on the actual scoreboard, we'd spelt Keane's name wrong. They'd spelt it with an E on the end, and you're like, "Come on, this is our footballer now. At least let's check the birth certificates when they sign and get the name spelt right." Stuff like that really bugs me. That's how interesting my life is.
That was what upset you, because I was more upset at the fact that we had the new owl badge with the big eyes on the actual screen itself, and then either side of the screen we had the Chancery banners with the old owl on with the closed eyes, and that to me was just I almost smashed the place up.
Well, shake your head. If you like sit there and shake your head from side to side, it just looks like it's blinking.
It was last night was the first time I've ever sat next to Eddie at an actual football match, and he went on about this owl thing for a good 20 minutes during the second half, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. They were all together. There were 14 of us sat in our little group, and I think he went round everyone individually and told them the story of, can you see anything strange about that scoreboard?
He so did as well.
At least 4 people said, yes, Eddie, I agree with you. So that, for me, is a victory.
Justification.
Was that just to shut you up?
One was my dad, one was my boyfriend. That's pretty much it. One was James, just to go, yeah, Eddie, shut up.
Now,
one was probably his 5-year-old child.
I think he even started on the kids at one point. Reece and Riley, they were kept turning around to me. What's Eddie on about? He's boring, isn't he?
Right then, ladies and gents. So the one signing, the second signing, other than Mr. Keane, of course, that has come in for quite a fat wage, shall we say, is of course Mr. Fletcher, and again, glass half full, glass brimming over. I'm bloody excited about this one as well.
This is a brilliant sign. I mean, this is a quality footballer, and I was quite stunned that there were quite a few fans that seemed to kind of take this news quite badly when he signed, kind of gave him a bit of stick. Because this is a guy that scored goals in the Premier League. He didn't have a great season last season, but he's played in the Premier League for quite a few years. He's scored goals for Scotland. He spent the second half of last season at Marseille. This is a guy with a lot of experience, and on paper,
he also
could absolutely
James,
tear the Championship to bits.
James, he also played for Wolves.
Did he? I might have seen Wolves.
I know you like to talk about Wolves.
Let me tell you a story about Wolves away.
No.
When Stephen Fletcher was playing for them. No, but I think it's great. And do you know what, Vic? I think that Stephen Fletcher's got potential to fill the void that is left by Big Dave when he goes on his merry way. Because you know what? I mean, they are quite similar looking. Stephen Fletcher's accent probably not quite as attractive.
They've both got a beard.
Scottish. But, they could be separated at birth, couldn't they?
I mean, one of the reasons that Fletcher came apparently was Mr. Bannon, of course. He had a chat with old Bazo, of course he's played with numerous times, and they did look fantastic, didn't they? Together.
Yeah, well, they know each other, on a football field, don't they? They've played several games together, and that's got to be good for us. That's they're already going to have that bit of understanding that we've talked about the start of last season and how it took a while for us to cohese. So having, at least those two having a good understanding, because to be fair, Fletcher's not really figured too much in terms of the pre-season games, which is a bit of a worry, but I'm guessing he's carrying a bit of a knock. So the fact that him and Bannon are going to have something of an understanding at least means that we're not, we're starting a little bit further down the line with him than we were with some of the players a year ago.
Absolutely. Very, very, very exciting. There's been a few other sort of little signings as well, hasn't there, in the development squad. We've signed a couple of chaps from Everton, Charlie Hayford, Jordan Thornley, and a fantastically named Elliot Percival as well, which I'm thoroughly excited about shouting his name when he does get to the team as well. So it looks as though that we're actually spending a bit of pennies on the kids as well, which is, I think, is sort of a shining light on what Mr. Chancellor is here to do. He's here to build the club, isn't he?
Yeah, and the steering group, he said he was really keen to bring some of the youngsters through that obviously would save the club, rather than spending transfer fees, we could bring kids through and save spending, so that's something that's high on his agenda with the academy.
Absolutely, and obviously these are only young lads, 17, 18, 19 years old, but it's lovely to see. Right then, ladies and gents, let's crack on, shall we? And next thing that James has popped on the running order for this evening is defensive issues. Now, of course, we've mentioned we could do with a bit of a centre-back, and we could do with a bit of a left-back, and hopefully Westbrook's not going anywhere, but against Benfica, I thought we defended bloody marvellously.
Absolutely. This is purely a strength in depth issue, isn't it? Because Glenn Loovens is injured. I think we talked about this a little bit last night. My worry now with Glenn Loovens is that it? Is he going to come back and be the same player? When someone suffers an injury that requires, proper surgery like he's gone for, if he comes back, is he going to be of a kind of a top six championship level, or have we seen the best of him now? In which case, we've obviously got to sort out that centre back problem. I thought, by the way, that Hutch last night played absolutely brilliantly, and I would not be remotely disappointed if we start the season with Hutch and Tom Lees as our centre back pairing. I would not be worried about that at all. Other than the fact that Hutch is not afraid to kind of come out of defence and play the ball around.
It's the injury thing. That's the worrying thing.
Yeah, and there's the injury thing as well. I'm just a bit worried that Hutch could get caught out of position, and that could leave us a little bit shaky. But yeah, it's just at the moment it's just a strength in depth, isn't it? Issue that we've got.
There's also the scything people down to chuff issue with Hutch as well.
Well, he didn't get a yellow last night, so.
Listen, I have got a solution for you. It's two words. The
Eddie
first
Hoyland.
word is Vincent, and the second word is Sasso. Why are we not getting Sasso back? Given that he went on Twitter last night to show that he was watching the Wednesday game and cheering for us on Portuguese TV. I think Sasso was at least as good as Glenn Loovens when he came in, after Christmas last year when Loovens was injured. I think Loovens finished the season brilliantly. he's not Tom Lees. Tom Lees is our number one centre back. I think there's an argument, having seen the way that pre-season has gone, that Hutch might be the first choice partner for Tom Lees as a centre back, and that's absolutely fine. But if we're talking strength in depth, why are we not getting Vincent Sasso back? It is a no-brainer.
He was crap at Wolves. Crap.
When was that, James? What game was that?
That was Wolves away. It was
Wolves
the back
away.
end of last,
You've not mentioned it.
Season. Well, I've got a few notes from the game that I've held
Go
back.
on,
that
go
I
on,
can,
go on.
I can give you if you want.
Jeeves has hacked into your computer and deleted those notes. So I think that just about puts the team issues to bed for now. And again, just to sort of underline that, I am incredibly excited about the whole Chuffing thing. Moving on to the actual club itself. Now, of course, a lot of what we're about to speak about has been about for a long time. But of course, how could you boys and girls possibly live without hearing our views on absolutely everything? First of all, it is known that I am a little bit of what is referred to as a stripe wanker. And the new kit, when I first saw it, I was disappointed, but it is growing on me, I must admit. What do you guys think?
There are actually stripes on the kit we discovered last night, not just the pinstripe ones.
Yes, under the
Yes.
arms.
Inside. It's clever,
the
isn't it?
arms.
That's
Yeah.
clever.
No.
So-
That's excuses. It's not a blue and white striped shirt,
Right.
is it?
Well, it is, isn't it? It is blue and white striped.
No,
it's
no,
just
it's
the
not.
Yes, it
white
is.
stripes
It
are
is.
very
Yeah.
thick. Right, okay, so several points I've got to make. Number one is it is actually our blue, and everyone that's saying it's not. I was sat at the pub with someone wearing last
Yeah,
season's shirt
100%.
and this season's shirt, and it is the same blue. It's just there's more of the blue, so it makes it look darker. So anyone saying it's the wrong blue, shut up, because that's crap. Second.
Good,
point
James.
is-
Good,
Right,
James.
because when I first saw it, I was a bit unsure, and then thought, oh, actually, I do quite like it. Then when I saw it in the flesh at Owls in the Park, I thought, oh, it's really nice. Then when I saw the team wearing it at the start of last night's game, I thought, ooh, I don't know about this. And then by about half time, I was like, actually, it's all right. I've kind of got used to it now. By the end of the game, I thought, it looks really, really good. It looks smart, and so what that it's different. It's no one's trying to take away anything to do with Sheffield Wednesday. No one's trying to make us play in red and white stripes. No one's trying to make us play in some kind of awful orange goalkeepers. Oh no, they are. But look, it's something a little bit different. Why are people so scared of a little bit of change for one season? You know what? We've got a chairman that's shown that he listens to people's feedback. Maybe not on everything, but on something like this, he'll have listened to everyone's feedback and thought, yeah, do you know what? Next season we'll go back to blue and white stripes.
But
That's
will he?
fine.
But will he? Because one of the
Well,
things
we'll find out, won't we? But
one
he
of the things that
said,
came out the steering group
well,
was
let's hand over
yeah.
to Rich for this because he was there.
What he said at the steering group was he's not keen on stripes. He doesn't like stripes as a rule. But he's obviously aware of the heritage behind it, and he's linked it back to a kit from the 60s, which was trying to bring back a bit of the history into it. He also, you'd be glad to know, said he doesn't like red. So that was he preferred blue. So there's no kind of Cardiff City going on here by the sounds of it. But he wanted to get across the quality of the kit, and it's been sent back apparently a few times because the quality wasn't up to it. And I think by the sounds of it, they had somebody else in place. His son Deco didn't come with the goods this year. But he's really happy with the quality of the kit. Like I say, stripes he's not really keen on, but we've got
that's
what we've got, I
worrying
guess.
for me.
Well, he
That's
didn't.
The
He
quality
said
of the kit, though, Rich, I have to mention, your sons have had it for, 3 days, 2 days? And it's already pulling.
But the
The
10-year-old
shorts
boys,
ain't
that's what
good.
happens. That's what happens when 10-year-old
No,
boys.
it's not. It's
It
not.
is.
It's
I
bad
ruined every
quality.
kit I've had.
It's exactly the same as last season's away kit. It's a really, really poor quality sort of pulling kit.
Yeah.
I'm wearing last season's away shirt as we speak. It's currently stuck to my body because I'm sweating a lot. If you,
look.
Oh, grim.
Can I quote someone on Twitter? And I can't remember who it is, but this was a brilliant tweet, and I'm going to aim this at Lord Hillsborough as a question, right? When Barry Bannon is smashing in 30-yard screamers next season, are you going to be sat there thinking, I wish that shirt had thicker stripes?
No, the thing that worries me about the history of the shades, clearly we're going to be promoted this season. We all know that. And when we look back on those pictures of us being promoted, I would much prefer this wonderful season to be in what I would term a proper Sheffield Wednesday kit. Now, don't get me wrong. As I said, this kit is growing on me. When I first saw it, I was disappointed. After watching the game last night, I was happier. But again, it's one of those things that it's a strange one. Back in the olden days, when we had the rather odd big blue and white stripes, with the one was Man United had the sort of the opposite way in that season as well for their away kit, with this sort of big white stripe down the middle and some little stripes. I like that one. I really still do like that kit. I don't mind different, but yeah, I'm just a little bit about this one.
I'm with James. At the end of the season, if our promotion push has gone well, nobody will even worry about it.
And that's what I keep telling myself. That's what I keep telling myself all the time. I would much prefer it to be in blue and white stripes.
And if you don't like that, there's a black kit or there's a white kit. There's lots of choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other kits are nice. The other kits are good. The white kit particularly is really good. Right. So look, if grown men spent this long worrying about what they wore on a night out, right, then the whole country would be a lot better dressed, because the amount of time that grown adults have spent not just like debating, but actually genuinely arguing and giving each other abuse on the internet over, a bit of fabric is just insane. It's something a bit different. Just embrace it. Get on with it. What does it matter? Come on.
That men in this country will be better dressed, as long as there's people like Lord Hillsborough out there who thinks that 95-96 Wednesday kit was anything other than that's legitimately the worst football kit of any kind. And I include the Sheffield United purple and yellow diamond away kit in that. That was an absolute embarrassment. I love this new kit by comparison to that. And actually, as far as the quality, and I think time will tell. And if the boys' kits, Rich, are pulling, then I shudder to think what's going to happen to Tom and Izzy soon. But I love the feel of it against my skin. It feels like a real quality kit. And you know what?
How camp does that sound?
Let's not get too babecast about this while I'm talking about it close to my skin. The fact that we've got a woven badge on it again, to me, that is better than any number of stripes. It's a beautiful thing. It feels a little bit like we've become Leicester City, but hey, if we could emulate them and we could fire ourselves to the top, the very, very top, in a kit that isn't traditionally ours, then yeah, so what? I think it looked good last night. The weird thing for me is the new English Football League numbers. You see that last night? So we played for the first time in our new EFL numbers. So they've changed the championship. Like, they were kind of like weird robot numbers, weren't they, the last few years? Now they've gone to kind of retro numbers. They look really good. I like them. And they look like the actual numbers. You like them. As opposed to the last few years where they were kind of like fat square numbers, and you couldn't really tell between 10 and 18 and 19. So, yes, well done, English Football League.
And of course, the other debate that is going to rumble, and I'm almost loath to bring it up, but we do need to gloss over it, of course, is the ticket prices and the membership prices. Ticket prices are expensive, shall we say. Obviously, the Villa fans have let us know that repeatedly, which it is kind of difficult to disagree with. But this happened last season. The first game last season was a ridiculous price on that, it really was. And then it came down. Hillsborough's going to be rammed to the chuffing rafters, isn't it, regardless of what happened after last season. And as a sort of polite nod to the fact that it is there, it's difficult, isn't it? There is no answer to this apart from, yes, if we don't pay as much money to go and watch football, then we might suffer with the quality on the pitch, etc, etc, etc. Obviously, you guys are all season ticketed up, so it's not something you have to worry about too much. And I do feel for the fans out there.
Can I refer again to steering group with Mr. Chancellor? Obviously, what he said was that he wants everybody to buy a season ticket, and in the long kind of term, he's losing money doing that, because he could get everybody buying, say, let's say, a £30 ticket every match. but he's trying to make it more affordable through the season ticket process. And he said they might lose £1 million doing that, but he'd rather have people in the ground with £1 million less coming into the club than the kind of those match day prices.
And he's done it really well because there is record season tickets.
Yeah, and when people complain, the Villa fans have obviously complained and then sold out, which is a bit bizarre. But he basically said his answer to that was, "Well, I don't want Villa fans in the ground. I want it full of Wednesday fans." And
I don't like that. I don't like that. This doesn't sit very well with me.
It did. I was all right with that. Absolutely.
No, I don't like that because I missed three away games last season and already made plans to not miss any this season, including bloody Cambridge on a Tuesday night. If every one of those clubs started charging us 40 odd quid for tickets, I just wouldn't be able to afford to do it. And the thing is, you have to pay for your travel to get there. You have to, you're even if you're a family that's going that doesn't spend the entire day in the pub like I do, you still got to buy some drinks, you've got to buy some food. And you are on the road for longer on an away day than you are for a home day, so it is expensive. So I feel I want my club to be setting an example like Reading are doing, where anyone that is a season ticket holder or a member of the away club when they play at Reading will only be charged 20 quid, which is super low. I'd have thought that 25 would be fair. I want my club to be one that's setting an example and doing that so that the other clubs in the Championship don't start ripping me off when I'm going away.
But to use a Reading model, how pissed off would you be if you went to Reading as a home fan and had to pay, say, for instance, I don't know what their prices are, 30 quid for a match, and as an away fan paying 20 because we're a season ticket holder? I'd be fairly miffed. Just be devil's advocate.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. But I'm sure if you bought a season ticket at Reading, then you would probably be paying about the equivalent of that anyway. Exactly, And it's beside the point. What I'm saying is that there's an argument in the Premier League this season that away fans will be paying less than home fans at quite a lot of grounds because of the £30 cap. But there's a lot of travelling involved. There's a lot of expense in going to away grounds. I didn't even try and tot up the amount that I spent altogether on away days last season because it's well into the thousands. It's an insane amount of money, and I'm just not comfortable with my club just saying, yeah, we'll just charge away fans whatever the hell we want because we don't want them to come here. Because if the 23 other clubs in this league start doing that, then every other weekend I've got a problem. And I know that might not apply to a lot of people, and fans that don't go to away games will probably say, well, I don't care, and that's fine. But, as the saying goes, we're supposed to be on Wednesday, aren't we? We should be arguing that our home ticket prices should be lower, which they should be. And also, we shouldn't be charging as much for away fans because that's unfair. By the way, I don't know if this is right. This is something that I've figured out in my own head. But I reckon that the Aston Villa game will be the most expensive game that has ever taken place at Hillsborough. I don't think there's ever been a game where tickets have been that expensive. And is it the biggest game that's ever taken place at Hillsborough? That, when you think back to some of the games we've had in the past, is it justifiable that it's? We had no Category A games last season, so none of the games last season were that expensive. So this, I'm pretty sure that this will be the most expensive game of football that's ever taken place in that stadium, and that just seems, I don't know. I buy the arguments on both sides. I just don't think it's right at the moment.
It is a little bit stick and carrot, isn't it? Let's be honest. I think Chansiri's entire point of view, with so much of what he does in terms of on the field, off the field, it's all stick and carrot. It is basically changing perceptions first by hitting you with a stick, and then you get the carrot as a result. And it's going to be a tough couple of years maybe where fans are going to have to learn and realise that the club are going to go the extra mile for you and give you everything you ever wanted in terms of the players they sign, in terms of the match day experience, in terms of access to tickets, all those things, if you commit. I think Chansiri is big on that kind of loyalty thing, and he's going to go, you know what, the more we're going to give the fans the opportunity to effectively tattoo his face on their arses. And if they do that, they're going to get the cheapest tickets, the best access to players, the best players to cheer for, being able to do all the things that we haven't been able to do the last 10 years because we haven't had a pot to piss in. And that's kind of his, almost like it's a test for us as fans. He's testing our loyalty and saying, this is the way that I want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, then that's fine. But you're going to be the ones who have to pay through the nose for it. Those of us who are lucky enough and fortunate enough, and let's be honest, committed enough to put money down for season tickets, are seeing Wednesday for a very reasonable price, especially at home.
Yeah.
So I can understand his point of view. It doesn't change the short-term pain, but I think that once Wednesday fans change the way that they view how the club, wants them to engage with the club, and that is a longer-term relationship, showing that commitment and getting the benefits of spending more time and more money following Wednesday, everyone will benefit. It's difficult, because I understand that not everybody has the luxury of the time or the money to be able to do to take advantage of all those offers, and I think that's something that needs to be addressed. But I can understand the reason why Chansiri is doing it the way that that he's shown that he wants to go so far. So
and that's what makes it so difficult, isn't it? Because it's a perfectly reasonable argument to make on both sides. And that's the odd bit.
And while we're in the championship, we've got to kind of almost fund this. We're not getting parachute payments. We're not getting millions coming in through TV deals. So the fans are having to fund it. And you'd hope that, if and when so let's just say when we go up, there'll be a change, and, we might see some. I mean, he made a point the other night about it's the first place I've ever been to where people expect everything to be cheaper. So he says every product you buy gets expensive year on year because of inflation. Whereas he comes to a football club and they want the tickets to be cheaper, and that's just not the way it's going to kind of go.
Clearly, Mr. Chansiri has never been to a pound shop.
Them chocolate bars are much more than they used to be, though.
When I had wagon wheels were the size of my head.
It is worth mentioning that when season tickets went back on sale, they were at the same price as they were during the transfer window, the season ticket window in January, which I thought was a really nice touch, because very justifiably could have made them higher, and I think we've got closer to selling 20,000 season tickets than we have in many years, which is brilliant. And you do save a tenner, don't you, off the cost of the Villa ticket with membership, which is more than you would have done last year. There's select games where you get £10 saving, but membership's gone up to £50, which kind of offsets that slightly.
The other point, the new guy, Joe Palmer, the new chief operating officer, made was that relative to the membership scheme, he's probably about the same price as most championship clubs now. And the fact that most places you might get a few percent off in the shop, whereas you go to the L shop and you're getting 10% off. Is it 5 or 10%? I'm not sure. But the percentage you get from the shop is the highest in the championship.
Absolutely. I'm glad that we glossed over that, because it did need to be said, and let's get out of the way. I absolutely understand where the club's coming from on this, where Mr. Chansiri is coming from this, but again, I am one of those fans that doesn't get a great deal of time. So if you are one of those fans, you don't get a great deal of time to watch a match, you can't commit to a season ticket, just start a podcast, and then you can show your commitment by spending hours doing this crap every week. Right, so then let's have a little look at the last little bit. We're going to wrap this up for this evening, gents. But as a general rule, are you quite excited about the season coming up? Because I tell you what, I am wetting my pants excited about all this.
Yes,
I really am.
So excited.
Yes.
It's going to be brilliant, isn't it? Like, you look at the end of last season, like into the playoffs, and what we had, and we're starting with that now. Like, that's awesome. Like, look at what we finished with, and now we're starting with that, and we can add to it. That's brilliant. Apart from Poodle.
To quote my kids, I'm so excited, I'm straight.
Okie dokie. So I'm so excited I've pulled my shirt. And from our point of view, I cannot tell you how excited I am for the podcast for the season. Obviously, something that you will see we're going to put up this evening is James and Vic and our new Wednesday week signing, Richard III, who is our new video chap, have done a cracking video from Owls in the Park, and there's a few little surprises in there for people as well.
I've not watched it yet. I'm so excited.
You were there, you saw it live.
I know, but I forget these things. It's been a week or so, and now I'm like, oh my god, Wednesday week at Owls in the Park. Oh, but I forget that it's
true.
me.
If anyone that listens to this podcast doesn't really look at our videos and stuff on YouTube, this is one that you want to look at, because we got an actual interview with an actual player.
We've got Bannon. Barry Bannon.
Is it Bannon? Is it Bannon?
Bannon.
You'll
find
out.
We asked that question. You'll have to watch the video to find out the answer. And the good thing is that we were only like mildly drunk by this point. We weren't hammered, so it's actually not a terrible interview. It's all right.
Sober, yeah,
Does that mean that they might actually let us speak to players again?
I'm hoping so. Actually, to be fair, the club were awesome. It was all thanks to David Garrido, obviously, friend of the show. But Trevor Braithwaite, who's comms director at Wednesday, was more than happy. He was like, yeah, you guys interview, that's brilliant. Don't interview X, Y, and Z, but you can interview Barry. Awesome. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sheffield Wednesday. That's really great.
I want to know who X, Y, and Z were that we weren't allowed to speak to.
Oh, I'll tell you later.
I asked for an interview with the chairman and was politely told that would not be possible.
No.
I asked for an interview with Vincent Sasso and was told he doesn't play for us anymore. And I said, why not? You know what? I will
Let me get to Chancery.
If we get Vincent Sasso back, I promise you I will do an interview for him in French and post it on a Wednesday week.
In your hot tub. Can it be in your hot tub?
I'll get Vincent Sasso in my hot tub. Hell yes. All over that. Let's go.
Mr.
Can I come round?
Yes.
I'll film it. I'll record it. I don't care. I'll buy a video camera.
You and Sasso get in and I'll record it. That's how we do it.
Yes.
Mr. Chancery actually explained why he didn't do interviews the other night as well.
Really?
Apparently in Thailand, if you promise something, you say something, you've got to deliver on that promise. So he's very careful.
Let's get
what
him drunk.
He says.
Go and get him to do Sambuca shots in the Park Hotel, the Riverside Cafe. Oh my God. Can we sign Cristiano Ronaldo? Yes, of course. Yes. Got that on video.
If you think back to last year and those lovely ladies that were singing to Mr. Chancery about having a drink with him, I think that's probably one of the reasons why they don't let fans near him anymore.
Yeah, say no more. Say no more.
Absolutely. Right then, James, in Wednesday week fashion, do you have
you got any little bits? Oh.
We're on TV 3 times in the first month of the season. I wanted to mention that. That was it. Right. No, the only other thing that I thought was really interesting is one of the newspapers this week, no, not this week, a couple of weeks ago, after England's humiliation at the Euros, updated a team that they'd done something like 10 years ago, which is who they thought was going to be in the England team in 2016, based on kind of the young upcoming talent.
Is it Gary Medine?
No, but they did have Sam Hutchinson at right back in that team. They thought that he was going to be England's first choice right back. So, we've got about 14 right backs at the club at the moment, so we don't need to worry about that position. But if we do find ourselves short, maybe it's worth giving Hutch a run out.
Right then, ladies and gents, that's going to bring us to an end for this week's proceedings. Of course, I'm sure we'll be back before the season actually starts for a little waffle as well. But in the meantime, Rich, oh boy, if people want to go to you over there on the online, where can we do that?
They can find me on Twitter. I'm at Dickie Owl.
Fantastical. Victoria, my darling, if people want to... I have a request for you, Victoria.
Oh, Christ.
Could we see a picture of the view of the North Stand from your attic, please?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, remind me tomorrow and I'll do it. I'm not doing it tonight because it's too dark. Yeah, oh my God, yes.
And if that doesn't get people over to your Twitter feed, nothing will. And if they do want to see that picture, where can we find that, Victoria, my darling?
I am at Victoria1867.
Fantastic. James, oh boy, if people want to scroll through your Twitter feed and find said picture of you in said bikini, where can we do that?
Yeah, it's at Sausage Arms. No, alas, that's not true. You can get me at James Marriott. It is on there somewhere. Trust me, you don't want to see it.
Don't worry, we will
You
post it
really,
again.
really don't. Like this has
WCast.
haunted me. It's haunting.
And Eddie,
Every time I wear a bikini, I'm like, oh fucking hell! I don't look as good as James.
And Eddie, old boy, where can people get hold of you over there on the Twitterage?
You will find me in Vicky's attic taking pictures, but not of the North Stand. Yeah, I am at Sausage Arms on Twitter and will be for the foreseeable future.
Fantastic. Of course, you can get hold of me over there on the Twitterage as well at Lord H. That's L0.
RD_H.
Have you been drinking, Victoria?
You do
course.
sound
Am I not
a
on
little
mute? Sorry.
slurry. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute. Go again.
We would like to get over the podcast feed over there as well. You can do that at TWWcast. Please do pop over there to Facebook. Have a little nosy at these videos that James, Victoria, Richard III, Eddie, and etc. have been doing. It has to be said, Eddie and James as well. We have been popping some live Facebook vids out there as well, haven't we?
Yeah, they're great fun. I love doing them. Can we give a special mention to Eddie's little boy, Tom, who did the actual filming for us last night in the Riverside before the match, if you were watching that Facebook Live video. But yeah, plenty more of that to come. Loads more stuff.
You were sat drinking wine.
And to Vic,
No, I wasn't.
who filmed Tom filming us and put
Yes.
that live on Periscope and then took
Periscope,
Instagram
there we go.
photos of
There
the
we go.
Periscope feed of us on Facebook Live video. We are so
Thank you,
meta.
Edward. Thank you.
Absolutely. So hence, ladies and gents, quite simply, pop over there to Facebook and jump on with the live vids as well. Of course, Periscope is still there too, so we'll be using that. But again, hopefully we're going to have a lot more video content so you can see our beautiful, beautiful presenters. And I'd also just like to make a little shout out to a listener who I spoke to in real life in my other capacity outlawing, who recognised my voice, which is the first time that's happened in the 5 chuffy years we've been doing this podcast.
That's the best thing that has happened ever. Lord, tell the story. Go on.
We don't have time for the story, I'm afraid, Victoria. And
Yeah, we do.
We don't. We are running rather long with this podcast, for goodness sake. But yes, I would like to give a shout out to the chap, and it just goes to show that apparently this voice isn't quite as anonymous as what I thought it was. It's been a pleasure, as always, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining us again this week. Of course, we'll be back very, very soon, and hopefully we can enjoy the season together. Be good, be
Be
safe.
safe, and we will see you real soon.
There's a chance here.